to say in terms of perhaps what might be valuable to the commission and their group and the community here that we greatly appreciate and applaud the commission's work, both on their own and with the Public Utilities Commission. You know, the integrated report about the importance of climate change and the joint policies you developed. But to put it in perspective for Chula Vista, even though our greenhouse gas inventory is based on the UN Climate Framework Conference and Calgary on either the city municipal consumption and vehicle miles traveled or the community at large or the UN framework that we're working on, and we've committed to a 20% reduction goal. Just to put it in perspective, this plant at the 60,000 hour, the minimum level that we talked about for greenhouse gases was 7%, equivalent to 7% of the city's total greenhouse gases, CO2 equivalent, or 25% on the upper end. I don't remember the number, but it was 220,000 tons, metric tons, I think, something like that. So that's the range, 7% to 25% in terms of its equivalent to the city's greenhouse gas emissions.
And this is like all residences?
Complete city, municipal operations and city at large.
Okay. Does that include like, you know, sort of the impacts of the freeway impacts of the transit?
That's not calculated under the way the state asks cities or the UN asks cities and communities to do it.
Okay.
So that we do it based on consumption and our own vehicle miles traveled.
Okay.
So for our goal in terms of meeting our 20% reduction, this represents 7 to 25%. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
You know, I guess I understand the city's concern, and I understand how this may impact the city's greenhouse gas reduction goals. I just wonder if the intent in making a comment like that is that this facility should not be in the city. That isn't that simply a leakage argument where you're moving things out of the city into other communities?
Yeah, as I was saying, it doesn't really affect the city's inventory or calculations, so that wasn't my intent. Our calculations are based on the consumption or vehicle miles traveled of our own operations and our own citizens. So this is something that would be generally applied to all consumers in the state of California where dinner is consumed. But to put it in perspective for people in the audience, I was saying that if we have to do a 20% reduction, this is equivalent to 7% or 25%. Kind of put. So for our goal in terms of meeting our 20% reduction, this represents 7 to 25%.
And I understand how this may impact the city's greenhouse gas reduction goals. I just wonder if the intent in making a comment like that is that this facility should not be in the city. That isn't that simply a leakage argument where you're moving things out of the city into other communities?
Yeah, as I was saying, it doesn't really affect the city's inventory or calculations, so that wasn't my intent. Our calculations are based on the consumption or vehicle miles traveled of our own operations and our own citizens. So this is something that would be generally applied to all consumers in the state of California where dinner is consumed. But to put it in perspective for people in the audience, I was saying that if we have to do a 20% reduction, this is equivalent to 7% or 25%, kind of putting it in perspective.
Okay, and is that calculated in the removal of the projected impact air emissions of the existing plant, or is it just?
No, this is just the raw data on the new power plant.
Okay.